your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee break with me. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee. Come and take your coffee break with me.
Hello and welcome to Coffee Break with Candace. We're so glad you're here with us today. I have a very special surprise and I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us more.
Hi, my name is David Marino and I have worked with Candace before. I actually did a profile piece on her, a video for Black History Month, and so I consider myself a storyteller as well. I know Candace does all of these interviews, which are always very interesting and sharing the positivity in the world that people are doing. And so I'm actually going to be guest hosting with Candace. So I'll be doing a few episodes a month, which I'm very excited about and very thankful that you reached out to me to do that. So that's very exciting. I have a background in communication.
Yes.
Yeah. So for 16 years, I was in the news industry. So I was a reporter for most of that time. The last 5 years of that business, I was a news manager. I transitioned out of that and went into city government, and I worked for the City of Buda, and that's how we met, because while I was working for the City of Buda as communications director, one of my responsibilities was shooting videos for the city and telling the story of the city and just anything revolving around different issues impacting Buda, or even for specific months like Black History Month, which is how we met, because I did a story for Buda on Black History Month and profiled you as our subject. And so that was very exciting. I work now for a water conservation district in Austin, but still doing the same things along the lines of communication and telling stories and doing videos and all of that types of stuff. So that's how this all came to fruition with us and moving forward with this. So I thought that was very exciting that you reached out to me like a few weeks after I left Buda and asked if I would be, interested in doing some of these episodes.
Well, I'm excited to have you. What has spurred your love of story?
I can remember being like a child and writing stories. Like I used to write, I would always make up things in my head and my mom still has like a folder of these little, I wrote scary stories. I've always loved scary movies since I was a child. I used to watch them, even though my mom didn't like that, but my dad and I would watch them. And I just liked writing. I always liked writing. I always liked kind of disappearing into another world. And I think that helped as, when I was younger, I journaled even for a while. And I think that it was always just an escape for me. And I ended up, later in life, it's funny how things come back full circle. My first year in college, I was a music major.
That's awesome.
I played viola, and I thought that was going to be the direction I went, but I ended up changing in my major and ultimately went into communications, radio, television, broadcasting. And my love again for storytelling came full circle. And I think for me, that was what was so exciting about that industry or that field, was that I was able to share people's experiences. And I just feel like the person that's there to sort of facilitate that and then put it out to the world. And that idea of being able to interview somebody, take what they've said and put it together in a way that is consumable to the public, and then create and edit. I like the process of putting things together. So for me, that was very appealing. And so that's what led in my path down into news. When I was in college, I started interning in San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio. I went to school at Angelo State University in San Angelo. But in the summer, the first summer it was just volunteering. I ended up volunteering at a radio station. And it was multiple stations in the same building. There was the rock station and the country station and the pop station. And then there was the AM news talk station. I thought I was going to be a DJ or something and end up in the
cool.
FM. But I ended up in the newsroom. I met my mentor at the time, Tracy Evans, who I've got to give a shout out to. I met her at that time. and she was a news reporter there in San Antonio for that station, and I just got sucked into it. It was really exciting, the idea of from day to day you don't know what's happening. There's so many different things happening every day, and you don't know what you're going to be covering. And so they would let me we had tape recorders back then. It was in the 90s. Still tape recorders, which the young people don't know what that is. Or maybe they do, because things are all coming back now.
True, very true.
I would go out and get tape of like man on the street, sort of like whatever story of the day they wanted to get comments on, whatever was topical. I'd go out at like gas stations and try to catch people while they're getting gas. What do you think about this or that? Then I'd come back and they'd put the tape together. So that's how I started in news. And Tracy, really took me under her wing and sort of nurtured, the talents that I had and helped refine that. And, I was really green when I started, and it took a while. And while I was there, the next summer, I actually interned for real. And I got to do newscasts on the air, like anchoring weekend newscasts and going out and doing, getting tape again for radio. And so after college, I ended up working in news radio for 3 years for a station in San Antonio. And then I transitioned into television news, and I worked in Midland, Tucson, went back to Midland, did like a short stint in San Antonio freelancing, then ultimately ended up in Austin where I was a news manager. So that sort of sums up my news career, up to that point. But back to your question about storytelling, I just, again, I feel like it's a way to escape into somebody else's story. And I get joy out of sharing other people's experiences and also learning.
Same for me.
I think when you talk to people and you learn about their life or you learn about their experiences, it very much can be eye-opening for yourself, things that you didn't think of, and I think, and you probably experienced this, sometimes you go into an interview thinking that you have an idea of what the story is going to be in your mind, and then you start talking to the person, and they just bring up things that you weren't expecting to hear, and you end up going in a totally different direction and learning more than you thought you would ever learn, and then your perspective just changes. And for me, the learning part and learning what other people's experiences are is so important. And I think as human beings, we're all in our own bubbles most of the time.
Yeah, very true.
And unless you are exposed to other people and learn about their life or learn about what they've gone through or what they had to do to get to where they are, you don't always appreciate, things. And I think it's really important as a person to learn about other people, to understand their, the positives and their struggles, because, I think that's even where we are in the world today. There's a lot of divisiveness because people don't listen. They don't sit down and just try to understand somebody else's perspective. And with storytelling, I think that's a lot of it, that's what it is. It's taking somebody's perspective and putting that into a story form and sharing it with the world. And I've always enjoyed that. And I like, again, the focus being on that person, and me just being sort of the one that facilitates it, not necessarily the focus on me, but just taking that. There's something to me that just feels like that fulfills my creative sort of need, and it just makes me happy, I guess, is what, at the end of the day, happy knowing that person's story is out in the world and people are reacting in a positive way to it. I would say in my life in the last 5 or 6 years have become more focused on what I surround myself with and what I want out of my own life in terms of positivity. I think we can all go to dark places. We all experience our own struggles, and I've experienced mine, and I think that I've reached a point in my life, especially getting older, that there are just some things that are not worth it. And
true, so true. Yeah.
And I'm still very much in that self-discovery mode and a work in progress, but I will say, you know, this all kind of, it comes into this when you talk about storytelling. When I worked for the City of Buda, I think what was so eye-opening for me and what became sort of, what showed me what my talents were, where my strong points were, was because I got that job. When I was in news, I had to tell a lot of stories that were, you know, like the shootings and the fires and the things that are not always very uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to Buda, I was the first public information officer hired for the city. So I was able to kind of come in and shape that position. There was no blueprint of how that was going to work. And that's a little stressful when you come into a new job and you don't have any sort of something to measure yourself with. But on the flip side of that, it's exciting because you can do different things and kind of take some chances and see what works and what doesn't. And they were very receptive to that, which I was appreciative of. And so that's how I got back into, you know, my job was doing press releases and doing the website and putting out social media posts. But what I wasn't doing anymore was the video stuff, which I loved in news. And so I thought, I wasn't always a shooter, but I'm a storyteller, I'm a writer, I can voice, I can edit. And I thought, I'm just gonna get a camera and just start shooting. I'm still not the best shooter in the world, but what I started doing was these different profile pieces on history of Buda, or paying it forward, you know, positive clips of the things that people were doing in the community that were having, you know, an awesome impact on other people. And in doing those stories and in getting back to sort of the storytelling and doing the video, I really felt like it kind of got me on a path of, okay, this is more what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Hi, I am Chef Vita, owner of Jules Cajun and Southern Cuisine. And this morning we are going to, I'm going to show you how to make an omelet. Real simple. First of all, I want to show you this omelet maker right here that I purchased off of Amazon. It's only maybe like 20 bucks. Okay, and of course red is one of my favorite colors, so I got red. This omelet iron is already hot, and I've already sprayed it with a little canola oil. It's available where you can make like 2 omelets at the same time. Cool, huh? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to pour some egg white. I usually use egg white. You can use like the liquid eggs if you want, or you can scramble your eggs if you would like to. I'm going to pour a little bit egg white in both sides, and you have to be kind of quick because it starts cooking real fast. Now, as far as what you want in your omelet is whatever you would like. So right here, I have sauteed some onions and bell peppers. I'm going to put that in both of the omelets. And the good thing about this, say for instance, you can make one omelet one way and another one on the other side. You're making omelets for 2 people and want 2 different things. So I'm putting the sautés, onions, and bell peppers in there. Your meat of your choice. I would suggest, once again, you can get like the crumbled sausage or the bacon, crumble it up. I would suggest, you know, doing it ahead of time. I put mine in the refrigerator in these little plastic containers because I make omelets all the time. They're a quick breakfast. Does not take long at all. I love mushrooms. So I'm going to throw some mushrooms in there. And what's the omelet without cheese? Okay. So then you want to pour your cheese. Any cheese that you would like. If you want 1 or 2 different types of cheeses, that's fine. But you want to put your cheese in there. Now, someone asked me before, what about salt and pepper? Well, I'm going to tell you, cheese has a lot of salt in it. So I usually don't do this, but sometimes if you want, sometimes I may put a little Tony Sachet in there. But right now, there's a lot of cheese in there. Then you want to seal it with some more egg white until it's filled up all the way to the brim. Now, it's already started cooking. And then I am going to close it for a couple of minutes. And I'm going to chat with you for a bit. And then we're going to come back and have our omelet. I have never, ever been able to cook an omelet in the regular stove, in the regular pan where you flip it. It always like broke up. And one day when I was catering and I started doing a lot of brunches, and then I found this omelet machine on Amazon. So I've told a lot of my friends, you know, to go and check out this omelet maker on Amazon. Like I said, it only costs maybe $20, $25. I don't even think it's that much. But this is very convenient, especially in the mornings. Instead of grabbing that donut, you know, very cost effective. You know, just get your little ingredients together ahead of time and make your own omelet. Now, you know, when I go to the restaurants and order an omelet, I can never eat the whole omelet. I think they use like 3 eggs or something. That's too many eggs for me. So using this omelet maker is just perfect. So I'm going to let you peep at it real quick. See how it's puffing up. A couple more minutes and it will be done. Once again, like I said before, I am the owner of Jules Cajun and Southern Cuisine. And from time to time, I may be showing you some recipes out of my kitchen here at home. Or I may be online on the food truck and showing you some things. Most of the time I am on the food truck. So maybe the next episode will show you some dishes that I actually do on the food truck. Ooh, it's puffing up really, really good. I'm located in the San Antonio area. My website is julesgumboandmore.com. That's JEWELLS Gumbo GUMBOANDMORE.com. And our omelet is smelling good. And you can serve it up by itself, or you can eat it with some toast, or you can get that grits. Hey, the instant grits is just as good. 5 minutes, 3 minutes in the microwave, and you will have your full-blown omelet. Let's see what we have here. Now, I do want to tell you, if you put a whole lot of cheese in it, it's going to take a little bit longer to like firm up and everything. So let's see what we have here. It is almost done. I love egg whites. I just love egg whites. Anytime I do these for like brunches or catering and everything, I usually just use the egg whites. And like I said, you can put just about anything you would like. A lot of cheese. Let me do it this way. So we get it all up under it. There we go. There we go. Ooh. Okay. And here is my omelet. And that is it for today.
Hello. How are you? I'm Dr. Hoke Effiong, board certified pediatrician and ADHD consultant. And it's my utmost pleasure to present to you the segment called Brain Power. Why the brain? Yes, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. So, the brain is the one organ that controls every bit of every function that goes on in your body, which means that if you take care of your brain and you fall in love with the physical health of your brain, we often hear about, take care of your body and take care of your mind and eat good food. And some of us are tired of hearing those stories and those statements, but you know what? We seldom hear about loving your brain. And that's the missing piece, because when you fall deeply in love with your brain, yes, you heard that right. This is for kids and parents. When you fall deeply in love with your brain loves you back. And guess how it shows up? It shows up in improved health. It shows up in your mind working better. It shows up in feeling stronger. It shows up as having better relationships, with your money, with people, with your animals. It shows up as being more creative. It shows up as feeling stronger and sleeping better. I mean, your entire life can be changed if you fall in love with the physical health of your brain, which means that you have to remember that food can either be medicine or poison for your brain. So that's why it's not just, oh yeah, eat healthy, it's gonna make you feel better. No, actually, food is medicine for your brain. So if you put not good food in your body, guess what you're doing to your brain? You're feeding your brain things that are not good for it. And guess what happens? Your mind won't function well. You'll feel lousy. You'll feel sick. You'll feel like, I just don't want to function today. But if you change that thought around and you start seeing whatever you do, your actions in light of, hey, you know what? Is this good for my brain or is this not good for my brain? Then you're more likely to take actions that will improve the overall health of your life. Because to fall in love with your brain is to fall in love with your life. So who's on the challenge with me? I hope you come along with me and join in on this segment. And I'm so looking forward to going through the series of brain power. Brain power for your life, brain power for your mind, brain power for your body, brain power for your environment. Basically, how everything in our life affects our brains and how we can improve and grow stronger. And guess what happens? Kids and parents, when you do this together, guess what? It increases and strengthens the bond that your family has. And what's better than that? I mean, as a pediatrician, that's my biggest joy, is for parents and children to work together, to love each other, to grow together, and to be stronger together. Because guess what? When there's a strong family unit, we are stronger as a community, we are stronger as a country, we are stronger as a world, right? So, I'm so excited, and I hope to see you every month. So stay tuned and have an amazing rest of your week. And remember, love your brain, love your life.
Hi, I am here to talk about one of my favorite artists, and that is Randy Newman. Randy Newman was born in Los Angeles, but spent a lot of his childhood in Louisiana, and specifically New Orleans. I think his mother's family was from New Orleans. Anyway, I feel like that kind of New Orleans style jazz and roots and blues music comes through in his playing so well. I think there's also like a cleverness to a lot of the chord progressions that he uses that I think can draw from that New Orleans tradition. And certainly, I think the other thing that like really jumps out to me is that when Randy Newman is often writing songs, the characters are very frequently sort of colorful people, and the sorts of colorful folks that you are likely to find in a place like New Orleans. I'm often very drawn to the particular ways in which he describes people or presents people in his songs, and so just a huge admirer of Randy Newman and his work. Speaking of songs in Louisiana, I am going to have the privilege of playing for you a song he wrote about terrible, tragic flooding in Louisiana in 1927. The song is called Louisiana 1927. Describes really the devastation that happened in a particularly poor area of Louisiana, and includes kind of a fictitious visit from the president who is somewhat unsympathetic to the plight of the poor people suffering from that. Song came back around and was particularly sort of poignant when Hurricane Katrina hit, but I think, I just think it's a really perfect short tune that captures really everything you want to capture in a song. So here it is. Here is Louisiana, 1927. What has happened down here is that the winds have changed. Clouds roll down from the north and it starts to rain. And it rained river rolls all day, the river rolls all night. Some people got lost in the flood, some people got away alright. The river busts on through down a Plaquemine. 6 feet of water on the streets of Evangeline. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. President Coolidge come down on a railroad line. With a little fat man and a notepad in his hand. And the president said, "Hey, little fat man, isn't it a shame the river has done this poor cracker's land? Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. Louisiana, Louisiana, they're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away. They're trying to wash us away.